Younger brother comes to tell me, oh, the pastors are refusing to hold the event because my husband has 2 cornrows in. And from the caption, you probably already know why we're here. If you're planning to do a Nigerian wedding in Nigeria, and somehow you're thinking about, oh, I need to, get the church's blessing, I need to bring the church, whether you want to go into the church or you want to do it outside the church, this is your sign not to do it. There is quite literally no reason for you to invite a Nigerian church to your wedding. Wedding planning is already stressful, and all they do is make this particular wedding planning process that you're probably supposed to be excited about, all they do is make it worse. I'm not even exaggerating here. I'm going to use mine as a case study. So I'm not going to be name calling. I'm not saying the name of the church. I'm not saying the name of the organization. I'm not saying anything. My mom wanted a church wedding, etc, etc. That's cool, but I really did not want to go into a church because I just wanted everything to be in the same place. So I invited the church over to my garden wedding for them to bless the wedding. Now, I didn't know this, but the church does not have the ability to give you a marriage certificate, at least not anymore. But eventually I found out that the church cannot give you marriage certificates, right? And all well and good, no problem. I involved the court. So one of the requirements of the church was for you to do the marriage counseling, which, to be honest, I did not have any issue with. But we had the marriage counseling for a few weeks, a minimum of 8 weeks. I don't remember exactly how many weeks it was, but it was at least 8 weeks. Then we had to fill like a 12-page long document about what do you earn, where do you live, are you baptized, all those things. Absolutely no worries. Like, I'm trying to summarize this church issue as much as possible. Part that was really stressful with the church was I made a tweet about it. That was where I was beginning to feel, are these guys promoting hypocrisy or what's going on here? Because the marriage counseling was virtual, so I attended the marriage counseling with my husband to be at the time. He came over to mine and we just attended together. Then at the end of the counseling, the church gave us an earful about how like intending couple should not be seen next to each other. They should not be in the same environment together. This close to telling them, do you know how many trips we've taken together? We've taken a minimum of 10 trips together. Let that slide. If Nigerian adults choose not to be in touch with reality, that's fine. Then after all of this, we had to send our health certificates, which, like, my health certificate I sent because I did NYSC 4 years ago. So it had like my genotype, blood group, all of that, which we sent to them. But my husband to be did not have it. And our genotype and blood group is not something you just routinely do in the UK. So I agreed with the pastor and said, oh yeah, when we get to Nigeria, we will do this, right? That one settled. We would refer to this again like sometime in the video. This is where shit starts to get real. Like a month to the wedding day, about sometime in August. The pastor, we sent him the program, like just to read through, since it's his program and whatnot. Just my garden wedding was slated to be maximum of 40 people. At the time, the church was saying they wanted to bring 9 pastors. And I'm like, we don't need 9 pastors for a 40 people event, which graciously they trimmed to 4 pastors. And that's fine. Then the pastor got back to me and said they will not be able to go ahead with the wedding if we don't have at least 1 pastor from my husband's side. At this point, I'm confused. Like, what do you mean we need 1 pastor from my husband's side? There's a certain point when you're planning a wedding that you're just incurring costs. At this point, I was like, I don't have that extra money to spend to house a pastor. Like, it's a garden wedding. I don't need 1,000,001 pastors. Why do we need to bring a pastor from Ibadan to come? So this was an issue. Then eventually we found a middle ground, which was the pastor was going to send a representative who was already in Lagos. So that's cool, that's fine. Everybody's happy. Then a few weeks to the wedding, I think 2 weeks to the wedding, they then brought up the issue of my husband to be cannot have braids in. Now, if you know my husband to be, he always has, like, he started having braids in recently, which I think is sexy as hell, by the way, and I don't want him to take it off. So they were like, he can't have braids in for the wedding. We agreed anyway that we're going to take out the braids and do this hairstyle, and that seems reasonable enough. The Monday of the wedding, my husband to be informed the church that, oh, his best man has plates on, against my judgment, because left to me, I was like, you don't need to let them know that your best man has dreads, he has little locks in his hair. You don't have to let them know. It's not an issue unless you raise it. If that day comes and they then say, oh, it can't be there, then we'll be like, oh, what's going on? But I informed the person, I was like, oh, my best man has locks. Can he be my... And the church was like, no, it's your best man having locks on cannot work. Like, it's either it tells his best man to take out the locks, and I'm like, nope, that's not gonna happen, or he's without any best man. I'm like, so at this point, you can literally, like, I wasn't a bridezilla, but at this point, I was slowly feeling myself becoming a bridezilla, all because of one organization. And I had to be like, you're not joining the best man. The groom has agreed to do something about his hair. Why do we have to take out the best man's hair? Anyway, again, a concession was made. He wasn't going to have a best man at the church joining, which is fine. We went ahead with that. Then in the midst of going for fittings, going here, going there, I got a call, ring, from the church secretary, like, I have to come pick up a letter. I'm like, nobody informed me about a letter. What's going on here? They're like, yeah, I have to come pick up a letter to go to the church designated hospital to do a number of tests. And I'm like, first of all, I don't have the time to come pick up a letter. I don't have the time to go do any hospital test, because at this point I'm like, this is becoming too much. They sent this letter to me, and the letter read, I need to have my HIV test done, I need to have my genotype, pregnancy test, and my blood group test done. And I'm like, what? First of all, why didn't anybody tell me this? I had to take time out from the multiple fittings I had events, because literally church was slated 9 to 10 because I want a 1-hour event to hold, and they were like, both of us have to go do it. So in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to do this test. Not like I have anything to hide. I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. I know what my genotype is, and I've sent it to you before. And what do you want to do with my HIV status? Like, that's just very confidential things you're asking to know. HIV status. What if I don't want you to know it? Plus, my husband to be was out of town. So, if you want both of us to do it, and he's out of town, how do you expect us to do it? Anywho, I had a call with the pastor who said, oh, my husband to be can get his done in the town he's in, while I get my done in the hospital they have sent me to. They've addressed that letter to the hospital. I took out time to go do the test. Like, Friday, I did the test on my wedding eve, which was a Friday, and because I had, it was such a detour from my day, it ended up taking up like 3-4 hours I did not need to spend. Like, it was after I had the test done at like 5 p.m. I had to go find somewhere to do my nails for the wedding. I had to then go to the hotel. Oh, so stressful. Anyway, you thought it was worse, now it gets worse. On the day of the wedding, we were late because my husband to be had gone to take out his braids. By the way, he took out his braids, he texturized it to achieve this style we're talking about, to achieve this style. But eventually, when he got to the barbers combed out his hair, and they were like, no, this hair is too long. This hair may not be able to achieve this onto. Anyway, they tried. They texturized this, they used color activators, they did everything, but nothing was working. But they put this thing they call stay. I don't even know what it is, but they put stay on it. Nothing was working. Anyway, they decided to then, they just packaged it. They put it together, and they were like, okay, just leave it in this little roll we've put it in. Tomorrow, when it's dry and it's stayed, maybe it will work. Now, 6 a.m. the next morning, I was busy doing hair and makeup. Then my husband comes in and goes, look at my hair. I was like, what? His hair was horrible. His hair was like, you know when you put loads and loads and loads of gel in your hair and the hair is just like down. That was how his hair was. And I'm like, what? So the hairstylist had to leave my hair, go sort out my husband's hair, and made it into 2 cornrows, which you can see here. We did the registry, then it was time for the church. Then I see all this drama going on. Like, I'm sat in the car because I was just getting like other things ready to go for the church because he has to dance in and my parents have to bring me in. And I see all this drama. It felt like a mini chaos going on. I'm like, what is going on? What's happening here? Then my younger brother comes to tell me, oh, the pastors are refusing to hold the event because my husband has 2 cornrows in. I'm like, look, I wasn't even going to let anything ruin my day. I was not agitated. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was just like, anything that's going to happen will happen. Then I'm hearing like other people telling, because he was in a separate car and I was in another car, and I was hearing stories like people telling me, oh, the event planner has gone to beg the pastors that he's going to take out the cornrows and pack it, and the pastor was like, no, he has to cut his hair. And I'm like, okay, that's not it. Nobody's going to cut their hair. Nobody's going to cut their hair. But I didn't put my mouth in that situation. I did not weigh in. I didn't do anything. I was just like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But there's no cutting of hair. Guys, I kid you not, 1 hour went by. People were going. My parents were like everywhere. My event planner, they were everywhere. I could see my older brother. My older brother has dreads in, by the way, like actual dreads in. I could see my older brother going around, my younger brother just throwing hands everywhere, my mom throwing hands everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? After an hour of back and forth, the pastors left. They refused to bless the wedding. And I don't even know how, but like I don't really let things get to me. But I could see my husband just dancing somewhere, and I was like, oh, Omolomo, let him just be dancing. Like, he's not gonna let anybody take away his joy. And I was just in the car, I was just making snaps.
It's almost 12. Do you get? So let's just do it. People are still down under the sun. It's on.
Michael, the pastors have gone. Sayo has 2 cornrows on his head and they're not joining him. So they've gone, look at it. I'm just calling my brother like, come and tell me what's going on. Come and tell me what's going on. And eventually another pastor in the congregation did the wedding. We had someone who is an ordained pastor from my husband's side who was like, I mean, why not? We had the program already printed out. All he had to do was read it and pray, which was what he did. So at the end of the day, all that trouble, stress I had to go through for the church, only for them to eventually not do the wedding, is not worth it. And a lot of people have blamed me, to be honest, that there was no reason why I should have even bothered with the church wedding. And to be honest, they're actually right, because the marriage is blessed anyway, right? 1. 2, the church is not even giving me a certificate to be married. So to be honest, if you really want to go ahead with a church wedding, but the stress that comes with it is, to be honest, it's not worth it. It derailed my timeline for the day. Obviously taking out 1 hour out of a crazy schedule, because if you already know, I had the registry, the church, the engagements, the reception, and the after party in one day. So taking out 1 hour to do a little bit of back and forth wasn't worth it. So save yourself the headache, scrap your church plan before you even think about it. Or yeah, that's what happened with the church ceremony. I've warned you, don't do it. Bye.